Welcome to the 8th stop of the 1993 Firestone Firehawk Endurance Championship. We're at Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California, a stop everyone looks forward to each summer. A challenging track and beautiful scenery. But Dorsey, the sightseeing is over. It's time for some fun on the racetrack.
This is a great racetrack, Bill. It's very fast, very hilly racetrack, and it's a track that tortures a race car.
There are some familiar manufacturers at the front of each division. We'll have the highlights and a lot more for you as the Firestone Firehawk Endurance Championship rolls on today on TNN. Coming up on Firehawk, you'll meet the American Motorsports team. We'll profile Pontiac pilots John Heinrichsey and Stuart Hayner as they help this crew make a charge at the championship. They're not getting older, they're getting better. They're drivers in the prestigious 50-plus club, drivers 50 years of age and over that are racing and winning in the Firehawk Series. And we'll have the highlights from Laguna Seca. With 3 races remaining, the battle heats up in the championship chase. The highlights from Monterey, California are coming up.
Hi, my name is Rick McCormick, driver for the 1-800 Ginsana race team in the Firestone Firehawk Endurance Series. Please stay tuned for highlights coming up from Laguna Seca Raceway on TNN.
Welcome back to the Firestone Firehawk Endurance Championship. Well, Pontiac has returned to the front of the Grand Sports Division, and one reason might be the American Motorsports entry. Teaming Stu Hayner along with John Heinrichsey, a past Grand Sports champion, we had a chance to talk with him this week.
When the 1993 Firestone Firehawk season got started in Sebring, the American Motorsports team was not a contender for the series title. In fact, they weren't even at the track. The team admittedly got a late start, but after leaping into the picture in Atlanta, they have roared to the front, competing on the track and contending for the title in the Grand Sports Division. Veteran street stock road racers Stuart Hayner and John Heinrichsey lead the fleet of Pontiacs, prepared by crew chief Eddie O'Brien. But it is the firm foundation built by Joe Aquilani that has allowed these Firebirds to fight for the championship.
He listens not only to me, but to John Heinrichsey and other people, and he has put together just a perfect combination. He's got great crew guys. I think, of course, he started out with a great car with the Pontiac Firebird, and when he put it all together, I think just a combination of all the elements is what makes such a winning team.
Well, I think it's Joe and Marv Palmer really putting together the right parts. I mean, Marv is very experienced in racing. He's been doing engine building for some time, and he's been more involved in race teams than what I think people tend to think. That they think of Marv as the engine builder and that's it, but he really knows his stuff around race cars, and so he knew who the right people were to put the cars together, and he obviously could build the engines, and I think between he and Joe, they just knew what to do to put an organization together in a very short time.
Aquilani has been here before, racing and winning with other teams. Now he wants to repeat that success as a racer and as a businessman.
Over the years, there have been efforts I've seen that have come and gone. There have been some that have been successful, some not so successful. And the thing is try to remember not to treat this as a hobby, because you can waste a lot of time, a lot of money, and burn yourself out. So we have to try to be businesslike and do it professionally.
Looks can be deceiving. Heinrichsey and Hayner have worked hard to get here. John won both the Firehawk Grand Sports Driving Championship and the SCCA Endurance Series Driving Championship in 1989. Stuart earned the IMSA Outstanding Driver Award in 1991 and has won championships in the Corvette Challenge and Escort Endurance Series.
See, these are all pretty close here. That tells me that Stu is just not using that tire as hard right there as John was.
Ironically, Heinrichsey and Hayner shared their first Firehawk win, co-driving with Don Knowles in the 24 Hours at Watkins Glen back in 1987. Now they are back together, racing and winning in the Firehawk Series.
I think the series is just extremely competitive, and I really hope it can stay around for a long time and build up. I think it's on its way back up now. There are a couple of lean years, but I think you'll see it coming back now, and I really hope it does, because it's a lot of fun to race.
I think the racing here is more competitive probably than any other series. The drivers, if you really went down through the list of the drivers, you've got some great drivers doing this, and of course the cars all make it pretty equal, and the series itself has really made sure that the cars are very equal. Really, we're doing this because of the not just to win, but for the competitiveness of it, and I enjoy racing as much as anything else there is. I mean, I really enjoy what we've had so far this year with Doug Goat and I swapping leads and positions and turns and all sorts of stuff, and that has been probably the most fun of the whole thing.
To get off on the right foot, Hayner and Heinrichsey were teamed together. Both have outstanding credentials, and now in a situation where co-driver compatibility is such a critical key, they seem to have hit on a winning formula.
At the exit, but I had some push going in, and what I was doing is I was actually trying to make it bite, and that's how I got my oversteer. I was getting the oversteer by lifting really quick or tapping the brakes to try to get my push away. There's so many drivers out there that they like to be the fastest one, and we all do. We do this because of our ego, and it's nicest to be the fastest. But anytime you have a team and you have a co-driver, it's not best to be fastest. You need to have your team driver, your co-driver, to be every bit as quick as you are, so that when he is, let's say, starting the car or finishing the car, that both drivers understand that the other driver is doing exactly the right job, that he's not over driving the car, burning down the brakes, using up too much fuel or whatever, to reach that ultimate goal, and that is to win the race.
There's nobody that's really a he-man that can go out and do it all themselves. You have to have somebody who you can count on, and somebody not only that you can count on the track, but somebody who will help you if they're doing something better than you are, who's willing to help you and bring you up to speed too. You don't like to be in competition with your co-driver. You want to be working with them, and that works very good with Stu. I really appreciate him for that.
Hayner and Heinrichsey celebrated the reunion, taking the American Motorsports team to victory lane in a thrilling race at Mid-Ohio. Then it was Heinrichsey and John Wall Sr. co-driving to a win at Watkins Glen, where Hayner finished second. What this team needs now is an extra race and another win. After missing the Sebring event, they are mathematically alive but clinically dead in the chase for the championship. On the racetrack, they have certainly played a promising role in Pontiac's successful pursuit of the manufacturer's title. And from the business side, they have expended the energy and established the effort needed to achieve a winning race team.
I think the team has done just a wondrous job of getting ready late and then really showing their stuff through the season.
Joe and I have talked quite a bit about doing a complete program next year, starting during the winter and doing testing and building the cars, and instead of getting started late, to go after the full series. And look out, everybody, because I believe that the combination that Joe has put together here, we can win the championship doing it that way.
Hi, I'm TC Klein from TC Klein Racing, competitor in the IMSA Firestone Firehawk Series. Stay tuned for highlights from Laguna Seca coming up next.
Well, Laguna Seca is one of the most scenic, beautiful racetracks in all of North America, but it's almost like two racetracks, the front section and the back. Past start-finish line turns 2, 3, and 4, they're a rhythm section where you've got the car slowed down, but you're building speed. Turn 3 is faster than the second turn is. Turn 4 is faster than that. Very important to get your speed going, because when you get to turn 5, you climb the mountain. 200 feet vertical, straight up, headed toward the corkscrew. It made Laguna Seca famous. When you get to the corkscrew, the whole thing disappears. You fall off the side of a cliff, run down through the fast section of the racetrack, back to start finish. This is a fun racetrack to drive.
A field of 44 Firestone Firehawk cars rolled onto the track getting ready for the green flag. Stu Hayner won the pole in a Pontiac. Now here's a look at some of the other drivers in today's race. Doug Goad leads the points in the Grand Sports division and is closing in on his first championship. He'll be co-driving with Larry Schumacher in the number 6 Pontiac that starts third. Don Knowles is the Deputy Secretary for the U.S. Department of the Interior. He was the 1989 Firehawk Driver of the Year and will co-drive a Dodge Stealth with Jerry Nadeau in the Sports Division. Ray Kong will co-drive the number 99 Jinsana Honda with Rick McCormick in the Touring Division. Ray has 3 career wins in the Firestone Firehawk Series. John Wall brought the field to the front stretch where starter Jim Sidley dropped the green flag, setting the field on a 3-hour trip around the 2.2-mile track. In the Grand Sports Division, the 2 Pontiac teams put on a great race. Tony Piacosta in the number 9 Jake's Team Pontiac, teammates with the number 6 car, took the early lead and set the tempo, pulling the rest of the field along. And while Piacosta was scored as the race leader for the first 20 laps, there was plenty of passing going on at the front. In a last-minute decision, Stuart Hayner replaced John Heinrichsey as the starting driver in the number 32 car to give Heinrichsey a selection of rides later in the race and to try and make a push in the points. Hayner and Piacosta ran up front, while Larry Schumacher ran a more conservative race, keeping the leaders in sight but saving his car for Goad's run in the second half of the race. In the sports division, Don Knowles took the lead on the opening lap but was black flagged for jumping the start.
and received a stop-and-go penalty, sliding him deep in the field. The Mazda RX-7 of Joe Danaher inherited the lead and was clearly the car to try and catch, chased by the Honda Prelude of Peter Schwartzat and the 62 Honda of Forrest Granlund. The touring division was a fierce fight. McCormick led early in the 99 Gensana Honda despite receiving a warning for rough driving. His chief challengers were Terry Earwood in the 38 Honda and the Slick 50 Honda, co-driven by Dick Starita and Mike DeVos. In addition to winning the race, there was a lot on the line for several teams in this event. Pontiac could clinch the Manufacturers' Championship with a victory. The points race was tightening up in all three classes, and the series was approaching the magic 2 million mile mark, a mark that would be broken late in this race. All that and more made it a tense day on the track. At the front of the field, Hayner took the lead for the first time 40 minutes into the race on lap 21, and the 32 car would lead the race the next 36 laps. Hayner was chased by Piacosta and Schumacher in Pontiacs, and a couple of Porsches from the Lee Miller stable. Paul Lewis had been driving the number 2 car, and Lee Miller started the number 8 Porsche.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good to have Lee out there because he pushes me, I push him, so it made us go a little quicker and concentrate a little more, and it was fun, real fun.
Paul, they took a little weight off you guys this week, make you a little bit more competitive?
More competitive with ourselves, but still not competitive enough to run with the Firebirds.
The first full course caution came just over 40 minutes into the event, when Rob Wilson overshot the corkscrew and got stuck in the sand pit at the top of the hill. Both of the Jake's Team Pontiac cars pitted for fuel and a driver change. Andy Pilgrim took the wheel of the number 9 car, and Doug Goad replaced Schumacher in the 6. Hayner's American Motorsports team elected not to pit and led on the restart. But when the race stayed green, the team had to pit as the race leader without the advantage of a yellow flag and fell off the lead lap.
Well, we were gambling for a caution and we didn't get one, so I think we're a lap down and now we got to gamble. The other guys have got to stop sometime in the next hour. The question is when they're going to stop and will we be able to make up our lap as they go in, and hopefully they'll go in under green and that'll get us back.
Pilgrim took the race lead on lap 58, and 1 lap later it was Goad, the points leader, taking over for the first time as the race leader. After running as the rabbit at the start of the race, Pilgrim was forced to pit the 9 car for brakes, but he and co-driver Tony Piacosta had done their job.
The 9 car used up the brakes, and unfortunately that cost them some pretty valuable time. The 6 car seems to be running all right as far as brakes are concerned, and I think we'll have to make one stop for just a splash and a dash. We can't quite make it on fuel.
That caution seemed to fall pretty well for you. Were you surprised that the other Pontiacs didn't pit at that point?
I sure was surprised that they didn't pit then. They really should have. Of course, they apparently used up their brakes too, because when they did stop, they had to do a brake change, which cost them, well, actually we went a lap up on them then. So, yeah, they didn't use good timing there.
In the sports division, it was Mazda leading and Honda hoping for some help. Peter Farrell replaced Joe Danaher and battled the Eagle of Knowles and They Do, and the Hondas of Granlund and Schwartzat.
Well, we're chasing the Mazdas right now. The car's running very well. The track is a little bit slick out there, so Peter's doing the best job he can. When I was out there, it was a little slick. We all kind of spaced out, but the car's running good, and we just hope we can hang on here. Maybe we get some luck.
Oh, it was good. I did a good job, and that always makes me happy. We're currently in second or third. It's a little fuzzy. The Mazda has to pit again for gas. We don't, so it's going to be one of those great finishes.
It's been tough chasing that Mazda for a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
It sure has, but as the race wears on, the track gets hotter. They seem to slow down. It's going to be a real great race.
In touring, the 99 car of McCormick and Kong was strong, fighting with the 38 Honda of Terry Earwood and John Green, and a couple of the Subway Sandwiches Mazdas, cars 41 and 42. The second full course caution came with just over half an hour remaining in the race, when the 17 Honda stalled on the front stretch. The caution gave Goad a great opportunity to get gas, and he did it late in the caution period, so the 32 car of Heinrichs would not be waved by the pace car and pick up nearly a full lap under yellow. So instead of restarting at the back of the pack, Heinrichs restarted in second place at the front of the field, but at the tail end of the lead lap. And the entire 2-mile track
behind Goad, the race leader. So Doug was able to run the rest of the race at his pace. Without the benefit of another full-course yellow, Heinrichs could not catch the leader. In sports, Farrell's Mazda had another strong run. The Eagle Talon of Jerry Nadeau was second. The 12 Honda of Schwartzine and Randy Popst faded to third after an unscheduled stop in the pits. And a splash and dash dropped the 62 Honda of Peter Cunningham and Forrest Brandlin to sixth late in the race. In touring, Ray Kong battled the Honda of John Green to the wire. In the closing laps, the series rolled past 2 million miles on Firestone tires and 9 years of racing in the Firehawk series. Goad covered the last couple of miles at Laguna without a problem and captured the checkers to clinch the manufacturer's crown for Pontiac and the fourth win of 1993 for Doug and co-driver Larry Schumacher. In sports, the Eagle Talon was scored as the class winner, but a post-race check revealed Peter Farrell and Joe Danaher actually won the sports division race. And in touring, the win went to the Jinsana Honda of Ray Kong and Rick McCormick, making Rick the 9th first-time winner in 1993.
Larry just did a phenomenal job of the car. He kept it right up there in the hunt, but he didn't use the car up. We went the whole distance without a brake change. I think I busted the rotors and busted the pads. There's nothing left underneath, but he made it so that she would last the whole race. It was perfect.
Larry, any problems with you?
No, none at all. My job is start the car, keep it out of trouble, don't use it up, and save it for Doug, and that's what we did, and Doug did one heck of a good job with it.
Talk to us a little bit about pit strategy. How'd that all work?
To be perfectly honest, we had a little disagreement on pit strategy. If anybody had a recording of the radio conversation, they wouldn't want to replay it over the air. But as it turned out, Dan and Jeff called it perfectly at the end there, to sit out there and follow that pace car around and keep the 32 car behind us a lap down. Came in hot, got a fuel, and we were at the back of the pack. We had a minute and a half on them. There was nothing they could do. It was absolutely perfect.
Ray Kong and Rick McCormick, winners in the touring division. You guys ran real hard. Had a good race with the other cars all day.
Yeah, it was a close race. I can't thank Jinsana enough, and the Firestone tires held up great. We were able to get a little bit of a lead, but it got a race during the yellow flag. We lost our 11-second lead that Rick pulled out, and that last yellow shrunk our advantage from 15 seconds down to 2. So it was a close race.
Rick, a lot of traffic out there. Any close calls?
Hey, Dorsey, there's a few marks on our car. You know, you get this many cars out there, and there's going to be a few bumps and rubs, but the race was pretty clean. You know, we just tried to stay out of trouble. I tried to save the car for Ray. He did a wonderful job.
Eight down, 2 to go in the 1993 Firestone Firehawk Endurance Championship. Of course, the season-ending 12-hour race at Sebring. And next time out, Dorsey, a big change, the flat track at Portland.
Flat track indeed, and a fast one. Don't forget the festival corners. It's not much of a festival for race car drivers. We saw that last year.
That's right. Portland's our next stop. When we come back to Laguna Seca, you'll meet some of the senior drivers on the Firehawk circuit. Welcome back to Laguna Seca. The attention on the over 50 crowd, the senior circuit, started with professional golf. Now there's a senior tour and professional bowling. Dorsey, how about the 50 and over crowd here in Firehawk? They're enjoying a lot of success this season.
Except I don't think the 50-year-old and over guys are seniors here, you know. There's no reason a 50-year-old guy can't be competitive here. These are not as hard to drive as, say, an Indy car is or a stock car. So an older guy can get out there and beat up those younger guys. I like it. It's fun.
They are familiar faces in the Firehawk series, racing veterans who have successfully reached the prestigious plateau of the 50-plus club. Most of them have enjoyed many victories in the business world, in addition to winning on the racetrack. But after a busy week at the office, this is where these experienced racers come to compete, in the Firestone Firehawk series, where getting behind the wheel means a little more than just a weekend drive.
All I had to look forward to next Sunday was playing golf. I really wouldn't get excited about it, but I always look forward to every race in the season. I look forward to every season, and I'm already making plans for next year, and that'll be my 61st year, so I don't think it'll end for a long, long time. I hope.
Well, I'm having a ton of fun, as a matter of fact, and I think this is a great series for veteran drivers. Let's call them veteran drivers, Bill. It's very competitive, and yet it's something where maybe that last tick of a second doesn't really mean so much, in as much as it's endurance racing. It's keeping the car together, making the car last, and I think drivers with more experience and older drivers, maybe you can afford to give away that tick of a second and make the car live and come out just as well.
Well, it's something that fortunately I can do fairly well, and I guess like anything in life, if you can do something well, you enjoy doing it, so you just keep on. And I decided I would like to do it, and then that way later on in life I can go back and say, well, by golly, I did that, instead of sitting back and say, well, I wished I'd have done it.
The Firehawk Series has seen a long list of drivers in the 50-plus club make the trip to victory lane. But that's just part of the thrill. The exhilaration of racing provides a week-long rush, complete with the satisfaction that the Firehawk endurance format evens the competitive playing field.
I like to say that experience and cunning and treachery will overcome youth, enthusiasm, and skill. So we just hang in there and do a little more of it, and I don't know how long I'll keep doing it, but as long as it's fun, you know.
Yeah, I love it. It's going to be difficult to give it up. I have to start thinking about it. You know, you can't go on doing this forever. When I become non-competitive, I'll give up the sport. But I have a son, he's 18, he's expressing interest in the sport. I will very much enjoy it if he makes that choice. It has to be his choice, of course, to go into it to help him along in doing what I love to do.
The Firehawk 50-plus club is a delightful and distinguished group of fiery competitors. They blend personality, performance, and positive leadership into a winning combination.
If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be anywhere near here. I think it's fun, and it's sort of like a chess game is to people who play chess. It's not the speed. Speed is not what makes me drive. It's the control, the precision, always getting the right line, feeling the car, making sure that you're in tune with the car and the conditions generally. And of course, catching the guy in front is always a good incentive.
Hi, I'm Joe Danaher, driver of this Mazda RX-7. Hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next time for the Firestone action from Portland, Oregon, where again I hope to be in the winner's circle.
Well, that wraps up our visit to Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California. We always enjoy our visit here, but we also look forward to going to Portland. That's our next stop.
Portland's a very fast racetrack with real long straightaway. Even with the festival corners, I think Pontiac's going to look good at Portland.
Portland highlights coming up next week. We'll look for you then, and we'll see you later this weekend on Inside Winston Cup Racing. So long from Monterey, California.
Transportation provided by Winnebago Industries, manufacturer of the world-famous Winnebago and Itasca motorhomes and the Winnebago conversion vans. For information on how you can join the Winnebago Motorsports team, call 1-800-643-4892. Communications for the Firehawk television crew provided by Racing Radios, Forest Park, Georgia. Racing Radios, the official communications of IMSA.